Ghazi say these pictures obtained by Reuters news agency are of mercenaries hired by Gaddafi to crack down on protesters. There has been heavy fighting in the town of Zawiya, 50 kilometers west of the capital Tripoli, between opposition and Gaddafi forces. Further to the west, police and soldiers have reportedly deserted Gaddafi's regime in the town of Zawara, where the opposition says it's now in control. But as many Western nations condemn Gaddafi's crackdown on the protesters, he's received some support from a long-term ally. Venezuela's foreign minister says the US is creating trouble in order to topple Gaddafi. We'll have analysis in a moment, but first, Lawrence Lee has our report.
The latest town to experience heavy fighting isn't very far from Tripoli, and that perhaps explains why protesters from Zawiya have told AlJazeera that the army came to the town and opened fire on them with heavy artillery, their hunting rifles no match. Witnesses said at least 100 were killed, and they expected the army to return after dark.
We asked them to stop all their fires, but they didn't reply. The shooting was direct to the people. They shot the people in the head and in the chest, direct. So they were trying to kill the people, not terrifying them.
If that's one version of events, the other came from Gaddafi himself. He turned up by telephone on Libyan television with a message to Zawiya. He said the town had been infiltrated by Al-Qaeda, bin Laden, drugs and madness.
The demands come from bin Laden. You, Zawiya people, are substituting the popular and Jamahiriya system with bin Laden. Bin Laden cells have been operating here for months. His operatives are provoking and brainwashing your children, inciting them to launch attacks. The enemy perpetrating the killings of our children, operating from mosques or elsewhere. Bin Laden and his operatives are providing your children with hallucination pills. Those are the true perpetrators. Arrest them and bring them to court.
The Gaddafis are certainly not short of opinions on what's happening in their country. While his father was blaming Al-Qaeda and drugs for the revolts, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi once again accusing the outside media of invention and lies.
We have to understand that the conspiracy against us is not coming from Libyans. It is coming from our Arab brothers. They have used their media to spread lies and deception. Tomorrow, all media is coming and they will film everything. There is also an investigation committee, which includes foreigners. You will discover that we were deceived. You will find that this was the biggest lie to Libyans in our history.
As well as all these observations from the Gaddafis, Libyan TV has been showing other pictures aimed at putting the fear into the opposition. It isn't clear whether these men are alive or dead, though at least one is still moving. There was a message as well: give all your weapons in and we won't harm you. It's unlikely to be believed by the protesters. It's hardly surprising the government wants the opposition to agree to a weapons amnesty. These images from Misrata in the west, said to be the scene of new fighting after falling to the opposition, suggest the uprising has as many heavy weapons as the army. During his latest address, Gaddafi offered the opinion that Libya's tribal leaders, some of whom have been meeting in Al-Baida, should be taking more responsibility for local government and controlling their young people, though here they said they were more interested in the United Nations coming to save them. Gaddafi said he himself had become more of a symbolic leader of Libya.
As the Arab proverb says, if you carry a leaking water bag, it will make your back wet, and it is your responsibility. It is none of my concern anymore.
This was an address different in tone and content to his speech of Tuesday night. Wishful thinkers might hope it sounded almost valedictory. Or perhaps in arguing that he isn't really leader and therefore isn't in charge, it was simply a denial of responsibility.
May peace be on Zawiya and its people.
Lawrence Lee, AlJazeera.
Tribal leaders in eastern Libya have been meeting to denounce the government in Tripoli. Among them were military commanders who refused Gaddafi's orders to open fire on protesters. Security in the east of the country is believed to be largely in civilian hands. Tribal elders and army deserters say they're forging a new future for Libya. Meanwhile, jubilant protesters have been showing journalists what they've managed to seize in the city of Shahat. As Dan Nolan reports, it's a region with a long history of resistance.
Sitting atop seized army tanks, firing automatic weapons. these men are celebrating a war that hasn't yet been won. Like most of Libya's eastern cities, Shahat is now controlled by the people. Some are giddy with their newfound freedom, joyriding in tanks that once belonged to Muammar Gaddafi's regime.
These are ruins from the previous terrorist regime. This is what Gaddafi used to kill our children.
Shahat is in a province of Libya called Green Mountain, famous for its resistance led by Omar al-Mukhtar against Italian occupation a century ago. Media reports now emerging from Shahat and nearby Al-Baida say peaceful protests on February 17 were met with live fire from Gaddafi's troops. Sympathetic soldiers are said to have opened up military warehouses to help civilians defend themselves, creating a new chapter in Green Mountain's history of resistance. Further east in Tobruk, video from the local airport shows the intensity of battles that raged here. Hundreds of bullet casings lie on the ground, while inside, blood-stained floors show a passenger terminal that became a war zone.
Thank God we won. They had weapons, but we had stones. God helped and we won. All Arabs must do something to stop this Goliath. Where is the United Nations?
Another tank sits on the Tobruk airport runway, an apparent attempt to stop Colonel Gaddafi sending more forces in to take up a fight that in the east of Libya he appears to be losing. Dan Nolan, AlJazeera.
Well, Yusuf Bouandel is a professor of international affairs at Qatar University. Joins us here in the studio. Thanks for coming in. What is Gaddafi and his regime in control of at this point in time in Libya?
They are in control of part of Tripoli. As we've seen in the pictures, so many parts of the country are now in the hands of his opponents, and they're marching on to Tripoli. How
significant is it that we're now, according to reports, hearing that cities all round Tripoli may have fallen, from Zawara to Musrata?
It is extremely important, and it is a normal course of action. The further you are from Tripoli, the easiest to control. And now with people seeing these horrific pictures that are taking place in Libya, also the gradual and continuous defection by his people makes it even easier for people to move on to Tripoli.
Is Gaddafi's back now against the wall? And is the initiative in the hands of the opposition?
Yeah, his back is on the wall, and it was shown yesterday by his alleged speech on TV. For the first time, Gaddafi addressed his people by phone as opposed to be shown on TV. There are so many observers who doubted that it was his voice on that
What do you
speech.
read into that? The fact that he didn't appear, did he?
Well, I read a lot into it. The first one is that he's very, very weak with his back on the wall. Some rumors suggested that he might have left the country. People were maybe he was scared for his own safety, that he didn't know where he didn't want people to know where he was making that speech.
What's next then? Are the opposition going to make a march on the Tripoli, and this gets into a really bloody battle?